Since the toppling of the Libyan dictator Colonel Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been riven by military factions competing for control of the country. Civilians have disappeared during the chaos. Now, thousands of families are asking where their relatives have gone. Carolyn Lamboley has spoken with one civil servant who was released over a year after he was abducted.
This is crazy. I am being held in a black site. No one knows where I am. I don't even know where I am. No one told me I was under arrest. And I'm being tortured every day 3 times.
Walid Elhouderi is still in disbelief when he thinks back to the harrowing 15 months that he spent in detention in Libya. He was a public servant in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and a human rights activist. One day, in October 2020, he was called in to act as an interpreter at an ambassador's meeting in the Libyan capital Tripoli. He had just walked the Congolese ambassador back to his car and returned to the meeting room to collect his belongings.
There were 4 guys, and they basically grabbed me. They put guns at me, at my abdominal, and they told me, to shut up and not say anything and to follow them.
He says he was taken to one of Tripoli's secret prisons, sometimes run by militias.
They started beating me up with a PPR water conduit. But I was not allowed to look behind me. And they told me, if you hear the door open, you don't look. And I was getting those beatings about 3 times a day, every day.
He was later formally accused of using means of telecommunications with the intent of obtaining defense secrets. Only after several weeks, he was brought before a prosecutor and transferred to the state prison of El Rouaimi in Ain Zara, one of Tripoli's municipalities. But Walid's case is not an isolated one. Since the overthrow of the country's dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, the United Nations have documented the enforced disappearances and targeted killings of thousands of people. Civil servants, politicians, human rights defenders, activists, many of whom are still unaccounted for.
It's not a new phenomenon. It's a strategy that was used very strongly in the Gaddafi era. So it's kind of a very familiar way to deal with dissidents.
This is Elham Saudi, a human rights lawyer and the co-founder and director of Lawyers for Justice in Libya.
It's not like the revolution happened and we started fresh. So the reason we have arbitrary arrests, the reason we have enforced disappearances, they're not new phenomena. They're just more accessible now. It's more prevalent because we still don't have a clear winner.
Walid's family used all their connections to get him out of prison, but it still took over a year for him to be acquitted. Many are not so lucky.
I literally gave up on life. Thought I was going to be killed. And if it wasn't for all the family and friends and people from human rights that did that, would probably still be there right now.
Ultimately, the Tripoli Court of Appeals concluded this January that the charges leveled against Walid and another co-defendant were the result of a quarrel between co-workers. But what happened to Walid is more than just a story about a petty rivalry between bureaucrats. It's a testament to a rampant culture of corruption and impunity that is still alive and well in Libya.
Carolyn Lamboley.